This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and this is the Origin EVO16-S. Origin PC, they make gaming laptops, high performance, high end, kind of boutique-y, and they also do desktops, so we reviewed them before. So this is their thin and light entry, and this one has an Intel 9th generation Core i7 CPU, which is your only CPU option. It's kind of smart, so this thin and this light, you really don't want to go with the Core i9. NVIDIA RTX graphics, a whole lot of other goodness inside, based on a Clevo P96 chassis. So what up with the lid, you're going to say? Hey, this is a blast from the past. FemShep, Garris Liara, yay! So they have an option for $149. You can get a UV printed, so it's fade resistant, lid cover of your choice. You give them the image, and they go ahead and they do this. It's pretty cool. We're going to look at it now. So Origin PC does gaming stuff. That's all that they do. They're based in the US, you'll get US support, so those things are kind of nice. Price for this model starts around $1,876. That'll get you the Core i7 and RTX 2060, 8 gigs of RAM. Clearly you want more. Upgrading the RAM is not going to be expensive. And a 256 gig M.2 SSD. So this also has a 2.5-inch drive bay. You can put a fast spinning hard drive in there. You can put a 2.5-inch SSD in there. You can upgrade and order all sorts of M.2 boot SSDs, NVMe. So yeah, if you like Samsung Evo Plus 970 like we have, you can do that. There's a lot of different options. So it's pretty nice. So ours is really configured pretty high end. So we have a 500 gig Samsung Evo 970 Plus drive in here. And we have a 2 terabyte Seagate spinning hard drive inside. We have 16 gigs of RAM, and of course that Core i7, which is the only option, and an NVIDIA RTX 2080 Max-Q. And that's going to cost you around $2,800. So it's priced similarly to the competition from ASUS and MSI and all that sort of thing. But here, small builder, you get to choose the components that are inside, less variability, less mystery. Those would be the selling points, obviously. That and the fact that it's really tuned for gaming. Now, the core temperatures on this will get high. The surface temperatures are not that bad. It has a lot of ventilation. This is a good Clevo chassis, and a lot of heat radiators coming out from the back and on the side, but you can really push this. If you put it into, they have software that you can control it with. If you put it into performance mode instead of the default entertainment mode, the fans will ramp up and it'll let you actually run the core temperatures even hotter, into the upper 90s, in fact. If you have it on entertainment, they'll typically stick around 90, 91 centigrade before it throttles back for thermal reasons. Obviously, if you want to do something like throttle stop on this or Intel XTU to drop the core and cache voltage a little bit, you're going to get better temperatures on this. So now that we've got the geeky stuff out of the way, the rest of the specs on this: full HD IPS 144 Hz matte non-touch display, the usual thing you see for a gaming laptop. But what's really interesting here is instead of the usual 15.6 inch, they went up to 16.1 inches. So you're getting yourself about a ½ an inch more screen real estate, diagonally speaking, which is nice. And they did this by keeping the same chassis size, but because the bezels are so small, they could fit it in there. Cool. I kind of like that. You do notice the difference, just a little bit. The internals on this are readily upgradable. We'll take a look at that soon. So no problems there, no weirdness. Well, a little bit of an annoyance opening it up, but nothing too weird like an MSI Stealth where you actually have to take the motherboard out and flip it over just to get to your RAM slots. Wait. So that's good. You have an RGB backlit keyboard. It's per key lighting, so you can light it up any way you want, and it has the usual set of effects, you know, the wave, all sorts of different pulsating patterns we would expect. We have a Microsoft Precision trackpad, which behaves well. The touchpad surface is kind of a little fast and slippery. I like them a little bit more resistance, but that's really a matter of personal taste. Ports on this: you've got 2 USB-C ports. One of them supports display port out, which is nice. Not Thunderbolt 3, though. And you've got the usual USB-A ports, HDMI, and a mini display port. Gigabit Ethernet, you're well taken care of in terms of ports, which is nice for something this thin and light. They're not skimping on the ports. And there's also a full-size SD card slot for those of you who are content creators buying a thin and light gaming laptop because, well, you want to do videos or photos or whatever it is. Other amenities include a fingerprint scanner option embedded in the trackpad. Kind of nice to see. You don't see that often on gaming laptops. The usual Intel 9560 AC Wi-Fi. That's a good card with Bluetooth 5.0 on board. The display quality on this is pretty typical for a premium gaming laptop, which means you get pretty much full sRGB coverage. It's a good panel. I think they do panel binning here. I didn't see really any light bleed to speak of on it. Contrast ratio is good. All in all, it's a very pleasing panel. I like it. It has a 2 megapixel full HD webcam, 1080p instead of the usual 720p, so you look sharper and prettier when you're doing your Twitch streaming while you're gaming. Yay that. So how about noise? Again, that's going to depend on what you do with your fan settings on this. If you're running it in the entertainment mode, fan noise is there when you're gaming. You're going to hear it. It won't drown out the game. I put it on performance mode when gaming, and you will drown out the speakers. The speakers are not all that. You know, it's a thin and light laptop, and that's not so unusual. They're not super duper crazy loud, and they're not really full rich with bass. You're going to want headphones. So if you're looking for a silent gaming laptop, you're still going to have to go with a really big chassis one. Compared to something like the Razer Blade 15 Advanced, it is a little bit noisier. And then there's also max fans, of course, which is as loud as anything can get, and it will be noisy, which is what you do expect. When it comes to battery life, well, you do have NVIDIA Optimus switchable graphics, so that's good. It'll run on integrated graphics when you're not doing something like gaming or anything that requires a dedicated GPU. But we have only a 62 watt-hour battery. That is awful small. Well, that does help it make it thinner, smaller, lighter, yeah, but battery life on this is about 4 hours of productivity work at best. So that part, not my favorite. It comes with an 180 watt charger, which seems a little light for our configuration with the RTX 2080 Max-Q and that Core i7. But when gaming, I didn't see the battery discharge, which is interesting. I would have expected a 230 watt charger. The upside of it is relatively compact for a gaming laptop charger. So to take off the extremely well ventilated bottom cover, you unscrew the visible Phillips head screws. Notice these two are marked with a keyboard symbol. You unscrew these and you see that itsy bitsy teeny little symbol that says poke it and raise the keyboard up. That's because you actually do have to poke it. Don't use something really sharp, folks, but like a small jeweler's Phillips head screwdriver or something like that. Poke gently, and then you're going to have to actually open up the laptop again and pull up the keyboard. It will be slightly raised up after you poke this, so just grab it, and then there are these little locator tabs that are on the bottom, so you slide it like that. Then you flip it over carefully, because look at all those ribbon cables. And there are 5 more Phillips head screws, all marked M.2 5. La la la. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So after you undo those screws, put your keyboard back for the moment, close it back up, flip it over again, say, why did they do this to me, right? And you can pop off the bottom cover real easily then. Here's the inside of the bottom cover. And there's our internals. There's our really small battery, small capacity, and small size physically, 62 watt hour. We have an M.2 drive bay NVMe. Obviously, we have a Samsung 970 EVO Plus drive. They offer a variety of drives. You can pick how high performance you want to go with that. There's our socketed Intel Wi-Fi 9560 AC card. Good card. 2.5-inch drive bay, and you have the option of getting nothing in there with the base model, or a variety of spinning hard drives, some with cache on them, or you could just get a 2.5-inch SSD. So whatever you want, they'll do for you, or obviously you could do it yourself after the fact if you wanted, but their prices for the drives are pretty reasonable. 2 RAM slots right here. They offer DDR4 2400 megahertz and 2660 6 megahertz RAM options. Corsair Vengeance, obviously, Kingston HyperX. There's a couple of different brands that you can choose from if you're into the performance brands of RAM. And stereo speakers, which are meh, right over here, usual downfiring towards the front edge, closer to you at least, so that's a good thing. I mean, thin and light gaming laptops, typically, they don't have a lot of room for great audio. And our fans right here, so a reasonable amount of heat pipes, not anything mind-bogglingly immense, but given the amount of ventilation and the cooler exiting here, we've got our fins here, we've got fins here, that's decently well done. A few shared heat pipes going on, but it's not bad. So that's the Origin EVO16-S. This is a gaming laptop that can do anything you throw at it. If you get the max configuration like we have with the RTX 2080 Max-Q. Battlefield 5, like you saw, Far Cry New Dawn, which is a very demanding game, and with Battlefield we had DirectX 12 on and DLSS for better water and reflection effects. It can do it all. It'll be a little noisy when it does it, and it's not afraid to ramp up those core temperatures, but again, you can tinker with undervolting and stuff like that. But a lot of ports, I really like it. Now, for those of you who are price sensitive, and who isn't to a certain extent, the 2080 Max-Q is the most expensive option. You can save yourself like $400 or so by going with the 2070 Max-Q, which is still going to net you at least 60 frames per second on high in today's AAA titles, which is pretty good. When we compare this to something like the MSI Stealth, well, I like this because it's easier to upgrade and to get to the internals, to be honest. When we compare it to something like the Asus ROG Zephyrus S, this has a normal keyboard and trackpad, not the forward-shifted one, so that's a plus. Compared to the Razer Blade 15 Advanced, which is arguably the best 15-inch slim and light premium gaming laptop on the market, then it gets tougher, but you do get more ports here as a selling point. And the optional lid graphics. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more cool tech videos, and thumbs up if you like this vid.